Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Ironis Insights. I got a special guest here, Thomas McClendon, president and founder of Citadel Networks. Thomas, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Alex. Great to be here and having this conversation with you this afternoon.
I appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to hearing, what Citadel Networks offers and get a little bit about your background. Where are you calling from right now, actually?
I am located in Portland, Oregon, the nice,
Excellent.
lovely Pacific Northwest.
Sounds good. Awesome. Well, we're definitely looking forward to hearing from you. So why don't you give us a little background on your history, how you got started?
Yeah, I've been in the IT industry a good 25 years now, which makes me a lifer. Pretty much means I'm not going to get out of it. About 16 years ago, I quit a job, started the break fix company, and then it slowly morphed into the MSP, the managed service provider.
Uh-huh.
And about 8 years ago, I saw that cybersecurity was the new frontier. And so I merged, or not merged, but morphed into a cybersecurity company. Now I'm do more of the managed security services platform or provider is really where my focus is now.
Awesome. So what kind of clients are you working with now? I mean, you've been around what, 8+ years now. I mean, first I just want to say, like, congratulations. I mean, that's a big feat. It sounds like you kind of rolled with the tide and adapted to the environments and you saw where the future was going. So, I mean, kudos to you for figuring that out on your own. And sticking around this long is not so easy. So, who are you helping right now?
I'm helping a lot of small and medium businesses. I
Perfect.
am doing a lot with CPAs, bookkeepers, lawyers, legal offices, um, financial institutions, financial advisors, because these businesses, these industries right now are the ones that are being hit with the compliance mandates today. That's going to change over the next decade as more and more industries, the FTC will change that. States are going to change who needs to do compliance and what they need to do. And so over the next decade, almost every business is going to need us helping them with their cybersecurity and whatever compliance they're forced to deal with. So.
Yeah, I think I mean, you bring up an interesting point about compliance because that's always changing, right? I mean, is that all you focus on is compliance, or is that just seems to be like the low-hanging fruit right now?
That is sort of the low hanging fruit. Um, because there's still a lot of business, especially the smaller they are, the thought and mentality that I don't need cybersecurity
Yeah,
or I'll deal with that someday.
yeah, yeah.
They don't necessarily think that they are at risk of being ransomware or some sort of data thief. But I just had a small business. It wasn't my customer, and I wouldn't have known about it if it didn't make the news. Was they were shut down for 8 days. It was a small um theater, movie theater that was shut down for 8 days because they had a ransomware attack.
Hmm.
And so that's 8 days of revenue they're never getting back.
Yeah.
So that's what happens is when these smaller businesses, they're not prepared for it, and then they're left scrambling trying to recover.
I think I mean that's really what I was getting at. I wanted you to go there, and you did. Is that a lot of these small, and I'm talking to a lot of founders, a lot of CEOs who deal with this on a daily basis, right? And it's just most of them think, why would they target us? And now the most common theme I'm seeing is it doesn't matter who they target. They don't have to hone in on a specific niche. They don't have to worry about going after the biggest fish. They just go after them all because AI has changed it that it makes it so much easier for them to target just everybody, essentially. And unfortunately, these small businesses, like you said, like when they get hacked or if they get a breach, yeah, shut down for 8 days. I mean, that's devastating. But
Mhm.
I'm sure maybe you know of this statistic or have a stronger one, but I think 65% of all small businesses that do get hacked actually don't last 6 months. They close.
Yes. that is a real stat, it's a real threat because it's not just losing the data or having your data, you being locked out of your data.
Right.
It's the reputational hit
Hmm.
that you take, right? Wait, you're supposed to be protecting my data and you're not.
Yeah.
We also live in a I need it now society, right? If I can't get it now, I'm gonna go to someone who can provide it to me now. And if I do that, chances of me coming back to you when you're recovered are slim, right? So now you're scrambling to try to recover business, get new clients in or get your old clients back. And that's really what kills people is that loss of revenue.
Exactly. It's really tough to if a consumer is aware of a hack, right? Really tough to trust. That's like even in the same year or ever again, right? Like
Yeah,
why would you if there's other options?
this is true.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look, we've had some big hacks lately. We always hear about the big ones because the SEC requires them to be made public.
Yeah.
But the smaller ones we don't hear about. Like this one that was local, I wouldn't have heard about it if it didn't make the news.
Mm,
I
yeah,
would
of
have
course.
heard it.
Which is like what I mean, obviously people don't want that to be public, right? But yeah, I mean, maybe a smaller town, or if the leak gets out, of course it's gonna raise some red flags. But of course, people don't want that publicity. That's that. This is the all good press. All press is not good press. Not
No,
not in this case.
this is true. And one of the things that I actually looked at, and I actually wrote an article that's up on my LinkedIn site,
Hmm.
was about that. One of the things the business owner said afterwards was, or as part of the interview was, we are working with the FBI. And when you first think about that, sounds a bit reassuring, right? That
Hmm.
something's going to happen, they're gonna find whoever did it and bring them to justice. But the fact is, all the FBI did was probably log it in their database and made a report about it.
Hmm.
They did not help the business recover the data, recover their networks, recover the business, nothing, right? They just came in, it wasn't a CSI. They didn't come in briefcase and boxes and did do a full investigation. They just took the report and said, good luck.
And what are the options for these companies that get hacked like that? Is there anything that they can do?
It depends if they've been backing up their data. If they've been backing up their data, that's good. But if they haven't and they've actually been locked out completely, usually the only other option is to pay whatever demand that the thieves have requested. Usually something in Bitcoin, right? Pay us 100 Bitcoin, 10 Bitcoin. I think it's 100,000 plus per Bitcoin right now,
Yeah.
right? So if you don't, one, if they don't have a cyber insurance policy covering this, they're on the hook for that.
Hmm.
So first off, if you're in business, go talk to your insurance agent to get covered. To make sure you have a policy to cover you. So that if you do get hacked or ransomed, they will come in and pay it and negotiate the payment and try to get your data back. But other than that, you just have to rebuild from scratch. Um,
So obviously, these are not great options, right? So what do these companies do to avoid this? And what can Citadel do to help these companies avoid this hack from happening?
So what the first thing I always come in and do is I come in and lock down their email and start a training program for their customers. Or not their customers, for their employees. Because employees and email are like the number one cause. 100% of nearly all incidences start with those two. An employee clicked on something in an email that they shouldn't have clicked on. And that let the attacker in.
It's always
So
amazing to me how the human error is the majority of the causes here. And how
mhm,
many, I mean, there's never 100% pass rate when you do these phishing emails, right? It's someone always clicks, right?
I've clicked, I've fallen for
I
it
have two probably, yeah.
because I had a business that would commonly send me stuff
Sure. They're
and I
getting
moved
very good.
and I moved.
Uh-huh.
And so I would have to go into FedEx and say, no, deliver it here. Well, I
Uh-huh.
got an email from them that said,
Wow.
we shipped you something. So without thinking, I'm like, okay, click the link, go to FedEx and enter the correct address.
Yeah, yeah.
It was actually a phishing email
Wow.
and I got caught. This
Yeah.
because it was something common I always did.
Yeah.
And you can't, you can't just randomly click. So,
There was something I received, which is these are these Easy Pass text messages now.
mhm.
Hey, your Easy Pass has a negative balance. Make sure you pay your dues, or it'll be up. It'll be charged twice the amount. Well, I sold my car 4 years ago, and I've been in New York City for 14 years, but I'm from Pennsylvania, and it's a Pennsylvania number it's coming from, so I could tell it was spam. But I'll be honest, it was still kind of convincing. I was like, did I have an old Easy Pass like that I haven't used in a while? It was
I,
so personal.
I've seen that. I live in a state that has no roads whatsoever,
Yeah.
and people were getting them. But an interesting fact, what was the number? I think in a 9 month period, what they were able to track was 800,000 people actually clicked it and gave their credit card information.
Oh
And
my
I
gosh.
and I think it was somewhere between 20 and $30 million lost. This in 9 months from that alone.
That's astonishing number.
Yes.
So you do some training. I think training is one of the most important things, right? Avoid the human error. What's the training course like?
So I do subscribe to a service that publishes something every month. They publish a new video every month. That's about 8 to 12 minutes usually,
Hmm.
on something that is happening in the world regarding cybersecurity and what to look for.
Hmm.
And then every week it then prompt the the trainer, or not the trainer, but the employee gets an email in their inboxes just to recap. Hey, this is what we're looking at this month, right? And so they get a tip of the week basically every week into their inbox to keep, because that's the other thing is you've got to keep cybersecurity top of mind.
It changes all the time.
So so that usually is very beneficial. And then from there, you got to start doing the other things like multi-factor authentication,
Hmm.
biometrics, which unfortunately we're seeing are able to be compromised and have workarounds on those now. So were you learning passkeys, password managers, pass phrases, all these different things that we have to do to try to lock down the email. Because again, most of these are the biggest things I'm seeing right now are the attackers just sit in your email box and they wait for you to send a very large invoice. And then once you send that invoice, they send an email right back that says, please wire the money here. Here, we just changed our bank.
Hmm.
I had a guy just a couple weeks ago almost wired $100,000 to the crooks. But he took an extra step and actually called the bank and said, hey, is this a legitimate account? Because he called the number, no one picked up. It just rang and rang and rang. He became suspicious.
Yeah.
That's when he was like, I need to verify this. And he
Hmm.
found out that no, that wasn't the correct information.
Yeah. No, that
Uh,
wire fraud is very real. I've seen it time and time again. I have a background in history in real estate, and
mhm,
large down payments always wired, right?
mhm,
And you need to call every single time to verify, because like you said, exactly, someone's monitoring that, or something, right, is monitoring that inbox, waiting for an invoice to go out. They see if it's worth it, and then they fire another email saying, "Wait, just kidding. Try this one, and use this number instead." And it's convincing. Like, when you're in the midst of a transaction and you see this email come so quickly, how could it not be from the right source? But it's very good. They're getting very good.
Yeah, you have to trust but verify.
Yes. Yeah. No, exactly. So what are you seeing in the next year, next couple years? What kind of trends are you seeing? Obviously, you know, AI is getting, more and more, I guess, smart. It's getting more involved. Now, that's making a huge difference. So, you have to get smart as the intruders, or smarter, and
Mhm.
roll with the times. Now, what are you seeing is like a major trend right now?
So there's two major trends. The first one is the compliance. A lot more businesses at the federal level are going to be required to maintain some sort of compliance. The states are coming in and also starting to mandate compliance standards. California being probably the worst of the bunch right now. But Texas and a couple other states have implemented what are called safe harbor laws. So they're not coming out and saying what you have to do. They're saying if you, for your industry and your company size, are taking appropriate steps to protect your company's data, then we will indemnify you against the lawsuits. Right? So they're saying as long as you're doing something that we deem as appropriate, which is usually meeting the federal government's recommendation
Mhm.
for every business, then if you have an incident, then we will protect you from the lawsuits, right? We will protect you. But if you're doing nothing, fair game. You're going to have to deal with those on your own,
Right, right.
right? The other thing, which has come up in about the last month, and it's rumored that a major IT company was actually having to deal with this, is that the software that the bad guys are using can now utilize AI to rewrite itself on the fly.
Hmm.
So it can come in as one type of software. And if it sees that it's being detected, or maybe this over a period of a couple days, it's like, I need to mutate myself to something else to continue to stay resident on this network. It becomes very difficult for a guy like me. It's like, how do you track that? That's something that's always changing, right? I relate this to the T-1000 from Terminator, right? He can change into whatever he needs to
Yeah.
be at that time. And you're like, so that's really going to start forcing a lot of businesses to look at a zero trust infrastructure, which means we just can't trust anything. It has to be approved before it happens, type of deal. Which some of it can be automated, so it's not like you have to have a guy like me. Bob wants to do this, approve it, right? I don't necessarily have to be hands-on like that, but I think that at the moment is the only way to combat ransomware that can rewrite itself to avoid detection. So,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think making sure we can limit the human error, educate as much as possible.
mhm,
This seems to be, the major one. And other than that, we need to also educate your clients, obviously, but educate the market as a whole that the threat is real, even if you're a small company.
yes, it absolutely, because right, the common pushback I get, I'm a small business.
Why me? Yeah.
Why me? I don't have any data that anybody wants,
Yeah.
right? And my response to that is, if I took your data, access to your data away from you today, you would be having a bad day, wouldn't you? And the answer to almost always, yeah, I would be having a bad day. And I'm like, therefore, there's at least one person on this planet that wants your data, and
Hmm.
that's you. And the bad guys know this. It doesn't matter what data you have, what if it's somebody's complete financial history and access to a bank account, or you just submitted another order for 10 t-shirts.
Hmm.
They know that you need it to function and for your business to bill out.
Yeah.
So if they can take it away, then chances are they can get you to pay for access back. Or the alternative, what's the alternative? Well, I start over, which will be very difficult, or I just have to close up shop, right?
Yeah, I mean that's obviously not a good option. I mean, I think it's really important that, companies like yours, like Citadel, can get in there and avoid anything like this from happening, especially with these small companies. So I think that's great that um, you seem to be working with a lot of finance companies. What brought you into that niche, or how are you getting your business now?
So a lot of this, so I do a lot of this open networking. I
Okay.
go to as many networking events as I can because really for me, I wanted to start having that conversation, right? We need to move it from the to-do list, someday I'll get to it, to today is the day we start talking about it. And so I do a lot of, I just go out there and meet people. And the people that want to talk about it, then I'll sit down and talk with them. Um, and what was the other half of that question?
Yeah, so I mean, what brought you to, the finance niche? Are you just kind of fell into it, or is it just? And I mean, you mentioned a lot of compliance
Mhm.
uh, that's obviously occurring, so maybe something like that.
Exactly. That's why, because in the financial sector, you've got Sarbanes-Oxley
Hmm.
that they've got to comply with. They've got the Graham-Leach-Bliley Act that they've got to comply with. Um, and if you are a big financial one, you're one of the big named ones, they take care of it. But if you are an independent financial advisor, that all falls on your shoulders.
Right, right.
Um, so
Yeah,
that's
that's a big burden for sure.
mhm. So
Yeah,
you need, so they need someone to come in and work with them on that compliance side. Are is my data being backed up? How am I backing up my data? How am I protecting that data? Because one of the things that will often happen is they might set up daily backups, weekly backups of their data, and then they will never check to see if they're done.
mhm,
Right? Set it and forget it. That's all I need to do. Well, the bad guys will come in, they'll turn off the backups, they'll then delete the last 6 months worth of data, and then they'll lock you out, right? Now you don't even have a backup of your data because it was turned off and no one was monitoring that it was.
yeah.
I had once had um, a client, he didn't actually choose me, but his backup method was I plug in a portable hard drive every night, back up my server, and then I take that hard drive home with me.
Oh my
And
God.
he would rotate them, which is smart.
Okay.
But here's the one thing that he did on the hard drive. He put his business card, reward if found.
He put what?
His business card on the hard drive that said reward if found,
Okay.
which clearly indicated that he was in the financial service industry,
Yeah.
right? Which means, okay, what data is on there? I already know. And the problem was he liked to go out drinking after work a lot.
Oh no.
So the possibility of him forgetting that somewhere, right? Yeah, no, that's not how that you should be doing this.
Yeah, probably not the best idea.
So you're like, oh my goodness, let's try to change that. We can move this to the cloud and you're fine. And then you don't have to worry about losing a hard drive that says, hi, I've got financial data on me.
Yeah, that's too funny. I mean, a lot of finance folks here in New York, and I can only imagine how many suits just have one of those hard drives in their pockets at the happy hour after work. That doesn't sound safe. I don't know if that's the best route. Thomas, if you had a magic wand, okay? what problem do you think you would like to solve in your company right now? What are you struggling with right now?
The biggest thing is just getting the conversation going,
Okay.
getting people to realize that, you know what is my end goal with my business? That's ultimately what I ask almost everybody. What's the end goal? What do you want to do with this? You're going to work 40, well, not 40, because if you own the business, that's easily 60 to 70 hours a week that you're focused on it. What's your end goal? Right? A lot of business owners aren't thinking about it, but some of them will start thinking, you know what, in like 10 years, I want to sell it
Hmm.
for like 10, 12 times my multiple and then retire to Tahiti. Okay, what are you doing to protect that?
Yeah.
Right? So that's really the challenge I have is a lot of business owners aren't thinking past today.
Hmm.
Right? And so that's what I need to do. It doesn't matter if you're not ready for cybersecurity. Maybe if your goal is 5 years, I want to exit my business. Okay. Do you have a business consultant you're working with? No, I don't. Well, let's get that started. Because you probably know, I can't sit there and say, I'm selling my business today and sell it tomorrow.
Hmm.
It's easily a 2 to 5 year process.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and during that process, you don't want to do anything that affects that valuation unless that valuation is positive, it goes up.
Hmm.
But a cyber incident, a ransomware attack, whatever you want to call it, has devastating effects. You look at the big names that have announced it, instantly their stock price goes down 25%,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if you're a small business looking to exit in a couple years, that could devastate and destroy that dream you have.
I think unfortunately, sometimes people don't listen until they actually lose it. And some people have to learn the hard way. Unfortunately, some people are that hard-headed and they're not seeing it.
This is true. And it doesn't even have to be a bad guy doing this. I've actually got a client this week at 2:45 on Monday. I get a text message. The server is down. I'm like, okay. They said we tried rebooting, but it's not coming back. So I'm like, all right, I'll be there within 30 minutes. And I get there, and unfortunately, it was the worst case scenario. Is their hard drive die? And my understanding was they had another IT guy prior to me, because I only came in a couple months ago, that was supposed to be backing up the data. I wasn't officially engaged to do any of that.
Uh-huh.
And in my conversations with them, well, no, we don't have backups. It happens to be a law office.
Oh
How
man.
much data is now on that drive? So we are now in the wait and see mode because I've sent that hard drive off for professional restoration recovery, which could be a cost between anywhere between $2,000 to $5,000
Yep.
to recover the data. When simply backing it up would have been a, a quarter of that,
That's
right?
why they need to trust you, Thomas, to do the backups, right? Why are
Yes.
they doing it internally? That's why sometimes especially smaller, SMBs, they don't really have a full IT department, right? It's like one guy who he's the same guy that gives you a new keyboard if it breaks, and and he's also supposed to be what, like, protecting your protecting your system from attacks. It's not always very robust. So that's why you need to be hired, because you are the expert in that.
Precisely. And I tell a lot of businesses today that if you have an internal IT guy, you don't want them doing the things that I do.
Yeah.
Really, what you want your internal IT guy doing is researching the new technologies that are coming out and how you can employ those within your business.
Hmm.
You don't want them unlocking Bob's account for the third time this week,
Yeah.
right? Or making sure that your network is properly protected. Because honestly, the cost of an internal IT guy, probably good 50, 60, $70,000 a year. For when they start learning cybersecurity, you know how much they want? Easily twice that, three times that much now.
Right.
And I can do it at a fraction of it because it's the concept of buying in bulk, right? If you buy large enough, it goes down. Because I'm providing services for a large number of people, I can bring the cost down for everybody.
And it's
And
something that you specialize in, right? So, it's like you have a well-oiled machine you can just implement and go from there.
yes, and I really, and yeah, because I can update everybody at the same time. If there's changes in the industry, I can update to match those changes in the industry. Um, and keep you on top of the threats instead of hoping that you don't get attacked at all or picked or targeted. So
Exactly. Well, Thomas, I want to really just thank you again for a very insightful conversation. I really enjoyed our chat. One last thing before we go, where can our viewers find you?
you know what? You can head over to my website or just the direct email to me. And I would love to talk to anybody and everyone about how they can protect their business.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll put that link right below the chat here, and you guys can check it out. Thanks again for joining us at Ironis Insights, and I hope you have a good day.
Thank you, buddy. Look forward to talking to you in the future.
Thanks.